for the seminar that is holding about alternative means of owning or making money or owning your own property.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is also today's program. Now, usually when you buy a property, there are quite a whole lot of things you're expected to do, and in no particular order, I will want to go through them one after the other. Like I said, no particular order. After you close a transaction, after you buy a property, you don't just leave the property that way. Yes, there are certain things that you need to do to keep that property secured.
Okay.
Now, most of the properties we buy in the urban in the rural area will require you to do what they call the omenana. The omenana is more like the traditional rites, okay, to appease the gods. I keep saying the land is spiritual. And so very often when you buy lands within the rural area, you're expected to do what they call omenana. Omenana, it's a traditional rite to appease the gods and to say that your interest is declared.
Okay.
Now, the next thing you're supposed to do, like I said, in no particular order, but very important, you take this next step, which is to survey your land. Now, of course, after buying the land, it's important that you call the services of a surveyor to survey your land. The surveyor will identify or determine the measurement, the size of the land. Is it 100 by 100? Is it 50 by 100? Is it more than a plot? And he will also take steps to lodge this survey plan at the Ministry of Survey, which is to register the survey. It is very, very important. The survey will identify your boundaries with your other neighbors.
Okay.
The other thing you need to do, if it's a bushy land, of course, you need to look at clearing the land. You don't buy a land that is bushy and you still leave the land there. It's important that you take steps immediately after a purchase, enter the land, clear the land, and make the land open.
Okay, but is there a time frame before you can actually, or is there a time frame to do this? Because I've seen people buy lands and leave it for so long.
That's exactly why this topic is coming in. A lot of people overseas bought land, immediately they paid, they abandoned the land. And by the time they're coming back 5 years after, 10 years after, somebody else has taken the same land.
So is it because they didn't clear the land?
Because you didn't take possession. Because you didn't
what exactly is possession? I thought possession was you, buying this land and then the papers and your name.
It's not enough. That you have the document does not mean. Remember we talked about ownership and possession. So that you are the owner, you're not in possession. They're two different things. Okay, I am the owner, I'm not in possession. Somebody who is in possession will go there, put up his friend, take up the land, and wait for you to come and fight him.
But what really defines possession?
What really defines possession?
Yes, because if I buy
possession
land,
is being in 100% occupation of the land. Okay, so it includes fencing the land, clearing the land, fencing the land, and putting up a little structure. Your presence needs to be felt on the land. Unlike I own that land, but somebody else is staying in it.
Okay, so let's say I buy a piece of land.
You want to take us to that topic, ownership versus possession?
No, I mean like, let's say I buy a land and then I decide to fence it. Should I just start up with the foundation and leave it there maybe after some time? Is that enough?
Well, the mere fact that you even fenced and put a gate is a substantial possession taking.
Okay.
Okay, means that you fenced and you've locked the gates.
Okay.
Okay, means that you are in possession of it. Unlike where you leave the land, there is no security on the land. Anybody can go in and take the land.
All right.
So I'm saying that once you buy a land, one of the things you should try and must do is to clear the land, okay? Clear the land and all that. Then, of course, you identify your boundaries, know your boundaries, and fence it. You get the point now? Okay. When you know your boundary, you fence it. Now, this is very important. I have, of course, remember my background is law. As a lawyer, I have handled so many matters revolving around possession, revolving around people not being able to take possession of their land, people who bought and left it 10 years, 5 years, and traveled abroad. By the time they are coming back, the same people who have sold to them have sold to another person. Okay, so you come back, you begin to fight to recover the said property that you bought with your hard-earned money. Okay, so we're saying identify the boundaries, fence it, and ensure that that is done immediately after you buy your property. Of course, you can erect a temporary structure on the land, okay, or farm on it. If you have a fence, if you fence your land and you farm on it, it's a good way of possession.
Or you can even give some other people to
You can lease it. Yeah, you can also lease it out. And of course, when you're leasing it, you make sure that it's reduced in writing so that somebody does not stay. I mean, anybody who stays on your land for a very long time, don't blame the person if the person decides to claim it. So you need to also, you know, define what kind of status is the person having on your land. So you need to enter a tenancy agreement or a lease agreement for a duration of time so that the person does not overstay. Remember that in this show, I've also discussed that one of the ways you can claim ownership on a land, it's long stay. If I've stayed in your land for 20 years,
I won't let you stay in your land for 20 years.
You know, if I stay in your land for 20 years, there's tendency that I wake up one morning and I claim that the land is my own.
But it's wrong.
It's wrong because I've been issued, it was not well defined. If I've stayed and nobody has interrupted me and I'm just staying there like the landlord and all that, and there's no document stating how I got to the land, I just stayed on that land freely. Man, forget it. One day I will take claim.
Okay, so you're saying at this juncture now that whoever has a piece of land that isn't in use could lease it, but when you lease it, make sure that you
well documented.
It's well documented.
Well documented.
So
well
people
documented.
don't overnight think
so that
it's
even if
theirs.
you're not there, your children will be able to lay claims on it.
Okay.
Otherwise, the person will say no, that you just gave him as a gift. You know.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Once you've erected a temporal structure on the land, which could also be a gatehouse. Okay, it could be a gatehouse. It could be a boys' quarter. Yes, it could be any of that. Of course, the next is to meet your neighbors, identify those who stay in the same neighborhood with you. Let them know that this land belongs to, you know, just as you'll be buying the land for your birthday. You know, yes, that's my prayer for you.
Amen.
Amen. Say it again.
Amen.
Okay, so you meet your neighbors, identify your neighbors, know them very well. Of course, in most communities, that's what they call developmental fees. We are obtainable. Okay, so you pay your developmental levies. So if it's local government, fine. If it's within the youth or community or village, or whichever of them that is applicable, you pay those fees. Of course, register your land at the appropriate government authorities and keep all your documents safe. Now, this aspect of documentation is very, very key. Keep your documents safe. Now, most people who are wise will keep a copy with their lawyer and probably keep a copy in the bank. Okay? Yes, when you have title documents, is two safe places to keep your documents. One, you can keep them at the bank, your bank. The other, you can keep with your lawyer, and that saves you in the event that tomorrow they look for your property, you look for your documents, you can't find them, you have something somewhere to get a copy of it to help you.
Okay, so let's open the phone lines now. The number to call to join the conversation is 0907000 1049. You can also send us a WhatsApp message to that same number, 0907000 1049. This is Law and Property with Dr. Prince Joel Esquire, and today we are looking at necessary steps to take after buying a land. Remember, times are changing, and some things you think, some things you thought were the way to, you know, what's that word? To declare possession might have actually changed. Times are changing, and it's only right that you change as well. So call the number 0907000 1049 to join the conversation. Maybe there are, you know, some other necessary steps that you have taken to actually declare possession after you bought a land, and you just want to share with us. We're also live on Facebook, and it's at the Reach 104.9 FM. Owerri. So let's move on, Dr. Prince Joel Esquire.
Now, just as I've listed these items, they are not of any particular order. But it's important that these things are done immediately after a transaction is closed, immediately after a transaction is sealed. From last week's topic, a lot of people actually started making deposits. Yeah, a lot of people actually started making. Some persons contacted me. I did organize a seminar, a training to educate them on how this works. We held on Thursday, and to my surprise, between Thursday last week and Tuesday, today's what, Monday? Between Thursday last week and Sunday, two persons have actually started making this contribution to buy their own property.
So it's actually possible for them to, you know, own property even with their very little salary.
Exactly. On behalf of Law and Property, I think we want to encourage Ife to also make a deposit and begin to do what?
Okay.
Own your own property. You don't have to be. You have to own your own property.
No, of course.
Yeah, I can't be coming to this show. I can't be coming to this show, and I'm not encouraging you to.
It will be against the law, right?
Eh?
It will be against the law for me to actually handle this program, and I don't have.
And you don't have a property.
Oh my
goodness. No, do you own a property in Owerri here?
No, not in Owerri.
Okay, so on behalf of Law and Property, we'll make first deposit for you.
Okay.
Yes, that will be your birthday gift. First deposit to own a plot anywhere in Nigeria. Okay. So yes, you can clap well if you want to. So on behalf of Law and Property, as part of your birthday celebration, we will do a down payment. After now, you reach my secretary, and she will give you a form. You fill a down payment, and you're on your way to own your own property anywhere in Nigeria. Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Owerri, Uyo, Calabar, anywhere.
I have that on record.
Yes.
And of course,
it's on record. Yes, it's on record.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you so very much for that. But do also call the number 090-7000-1049. Some of the few steps that you need to take after you have actually bought a land is what we are talking about today on Law and Property. Well, after all of this that you've mentioned, is it possible that, some other people or some people might have actually carried out one or more or all of this, and still their property is actually in the hands of some other person?
It's about securing your investments. Okay, the whole idea of investing is to do what? It's to make double money. It's to make profit on your investment. So if you invest and you abandon it, you are giving room for problem. Most of the problems that Nigerians in diaspora have today, it's because a lot of them from there invest in properties and never take any of the steps. Probably the best step they may have taken is probably to survey the land, and after surveying the land is abandoned. But we are saying that beyond surveying the land, you need to clear the land, you need to tidy up your paperwork, identify your neighbors, pay all the necessary government statutory fees, developmental levies and all that as may be applicable, and you get your property secured. And very often, instead of leaving the property like that, do put tenants there. And while you put tenants there, ensure that you have proper documentations with your tenants, and that will go a long way to help you in securing your property.
Okay, it will definitely help you. It will go a long way in helping you secure your property. But with all those points that you have actually listed, is it the same in other parts of Nigeria? Are these some of the steps that you can actually take to secure, or is it different according to states?
State by state. They're basically similar. They're the same thing. To survey land is everything. It's same everywhere. Okay, it's same everywhere. And not just surveying the land, you survey and ensure that the red copy is lodged, or you survey and ensure that the survey is registered. Okay, not just measuring or surveying the land. It's not enough.
So the survey has to be registered.
Yeah, a survey is complete when it is registered.
How does that happen?
Okay, so it's the work of the surveyor. The surveyor goes to the land, does the measurement of the land, and implant it on the survey paper. There are procedures for that, and afterwards it's registered with the Ministry of Survey, under the Ministry of Lands in Imo State here. Okay, so you get that registered, so you have record that that land is registered. Now, for you to be able to register your title deed or your title document, you need a proper survey document. So you need to survey the land for you to be able to process your CFO.
Okay, so I'm sorry to take you back a little. So you're saying that there are some surveys that are actually being carried out that are not registered?
Of course, no, there are fake surveys. I did wrote an article saying that the surveyor can survey you into trouble.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of surveys. Okay, there's what they call provisional survey.
Okay.
Provisional survey means it's provisional, it's not registered. Okay, so that literally shows you the size of the land on paper. Okay, but it does not have record at the Ministry of Survey. You get the point?
No, I see.
It does not have what is it called? It does not have record at the Ministry of Survey. But you can use it to determine the square meter of the land. You can use it to visualize the boundaries and the size of the land, but it is not registered. Okay, now for a survey to be valid, it must be registered. Okay, so once that it's done, like I said, it's the same thing everywhere. In Lagos, you have to survey your land after you buy. In Abuja, it's the same thing. It's one step that you cannot overlook. Okay. Identifying your boundary is the same thing everywhere. Meeting with your neighbors, of course, fencing and erecting, they're basic principles to securing your property after you have bought. Okay,
so sorry, I just have to take you back to, you know, some of the things that we actually talked about, you know, last week. Now, with regards to how these civil servants can actually, I mean, it's only when you have a land that you can actually start thinking of, you know, the necessary steps to take and all. Now, are there any laws in Nigeria? Because I remember one of the callers, you know, called in to say, you know, the federal government to a large extent, you know, are the ones that are going to make these offers available to the citizen, or, you know, they have a role to play in making sure that the welfare of these workers are being improved so they can actually own property. So, you know, does that seem to you as a hindrance, if I should use the word, as to why some people do not, you know, own land, or they just, because I tell you, some of the messages I got last week, and I'm not kidding, many people were actually laughing. They were like, it doesn't seem true. Yeah,
information, knowledge is powerful. The Bible says that my people perish for lack of what? For lack of knowledge. Yeah. You cannot sit where you are and know everything. You cannot. Yes, the federal government has what they call the mortgage housing scheme. Okay. But how many people actually benefit from that? That's number one. Number two, how sincere are those running this scheme? How sincere are they? Now, I don't have a problem with the government scheme. There's also mortgage. Now, bank too, they give mortgage. Now, they will tell you their interest rates at 28% and all that. You know, it's killing. How many persons can really afford that? But I'm actually encouraging, or rather, I am happy and so proud for private entities, private companies that are also doing their best to provide the same thing that government is supposed to provide. You get my point? So, what that government is providing, that's not a problem. If you can access it, go ahead and access it. But I and you know how difficult it is. It's actually for the elect. It's actually for some few individuals. Okay, but I am not here to promote any company. But I know that I've had the privilege, coming from Lagos, I've had the privilege to identify companies who are encouraging what they call mortgage arrangement in acquiring property, in ownership, in home ownership. Okay? In home ownership, where you pay as low as 52,000 naira on your first payment, and subsequently you pay 15,000 naira. Okay, and you can do this over 18 months for you to own your own property. That's knowledge, that's information. For those who are well traveled, you know that these things are done. If you're in abroad, in Europe, in the civilized world, nobody brings bulk cash to go and buy property. Nobody does that.
So they pay over a period of time?
Of course, I've lived in Europe. I've lived in the UK. Nobody does that. What we do is mortgage arrangement. So you can buy property and they will just be deducting it from your salary. It's only in Nigeria, yeah, one man will carry money in Ghana must go back and go and buy property.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. I mean, by the time you answer questions now. So even when you have the money, it is safer for you to do a mortgage arrangement, to do an instrumental payment arrangement. So as an investment coach, I educate and encourage people that money you use in doing ngwari. You know what they call it, you know now, ngwari. You know, that money you use in doing ngwari, you know, keep it aside. On monthly basis, invest in an investment scheme for property. You get my point? Okay. By the time you do that, in a year you would have raised so much money to acquire a property of your choice. You know, so in Lagos I hold weekly seminars, monthly seminars, and I call people who have funds, who have money and probably do not know what to do with their money. You know, they get money. They don't know what they want to take the money.
So they call them money misroad now.
Some are money misroad, some are money back. Okay, and instead of keeping that money in the bank, and I'll say, come, let me show you how you can put that money into real estate, and that money will give you interest on a quarterly basis. Interest biannually.
Okay, interest biannually. Okay, before we round up, throw more light on this seminar that is happening tomorrow, because I just might find myself there. I really want to, you know, invest so much in, you know, real estate.
You already started now.
Okay.
You've already started. So Be our guest tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll be taking the training tomorrow. It's 10 a.m. It's strictly by invitation. So if you're interested, just send me a WhatsApp. Okay? If you're interested,
so no WhatsApp, no entry.
Yeah, no WhatsApp, no entry. So if
Okay.
you're interested, send me a WhatsApp, send me a text message. It's somewhere at Ikenebu.
Okay.
It's holding 10 a.m. on the dot, and I
Okay.
have just 2 hours to do this.
Okay, so where's the venue so they can
The
actually...
venue is Ikenebu. When they send me a WhatsApp
You
message,
tell
I'll
them,
tell
okay,
them,
okay.
yes, the venue.
Oh, okay,
You get
so
my
that
point?
those that do
you need
not...
to communicate to me that you want to know more how you can own your own property via mortgage or via via
Installment.
installment.
Okay.
Yes, and like I said, it's 52,000 naira your first deposit, and every month 15,000 naira. Now, to know more, I am saying, do me a WhatsApp message on my number 080 2055 0410. Do me a WhatsApp or a text message, not a call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that this final, this message just dropped, and this will be at last because our time is fast spent. This one says, "Good morning, Ify. I'm the barrister in the studio. My question is, after buying and surveying a land, particularly in Imo State, how can one know a particular master plan being proposed by the government in order to avoid the land or property being confiscated in future?"
That takes us to due diligence. Okay, even before you start making payment of that property, you should know if that area has a government layout. Okay, now you should know what layout that area has. Some areas have government layout, some does not have. Now the layouts, most of those layouts are designed by the company and approved by governments. Okay, for you to have a functional estate, you must have an approved layout plan. Okay, stating where all the amenities and facilities will be and all that. Some are selling while processing their approval with the government, so that they've not gotten an approved layout is not enough not to buy the property. Okay, because a lot of them are speculators. Okay, they are planning for the future. Okay, then most often you have a right to ask for the layout. Now the layout will show you the arrangement of plots, the recreational center, the sports center, the medicals, and all of that. Okay, now for areas that are government areas, for areas that are government approved areas, of course you will see that if you want to buy a property in GRA has a layout. So you have a right to ask for those things even before you start parting with your money, and that is where due diligence come in.
Okay. All right then. So our time is fast spent again. Yes, but join us same time next week as we bring you more interesting subject matters on law and property with Prince Joel Esquire. But just before we round up, how can you be contacted and your social media handles?
On any other platform, especially Facebook, is Law and Property with Dr. Prince Joel. Law and Property with Dr. Prince Joel. You can reach me on any of the social media with Law and Property with Dr. Prince Joel. You can reach me on my WhatsApp line via WhatsApp messages or text message. It's 080 2055 0410. 080 2055 0410.
All right, that has been
much.
a time. Thank you so very much, Dr. Prince Joel Esquire, for joining us on the program today. Remember, Law and Property comes your way every Monday, 8:30.